So Nucc, I mean, we just didn't do such a great job the first time, right? And I think it's kind of good for us to learn that we're allowed to suck too.
Yeah,
So
you
so
sometimes you need to have a bad day to have a good day.
so let's get this started off on the right foot here, and we're gonna take another crack at it. But I think we were just kind of going back and forth there a little bit before the pod started. Food poisoning. It's a real thing in life and everywhere, and you experienced the other day while coaching. So I think we got to kind of dig into it a little bit.
Yeah, this is my second time having it. I tell people that it's the worst sickness there is. Like it's worse than mono. Um, I don't think there's actually anything worse, and I'm sticking to that after the second time I've had it. So I obviously had a game on Sunday, coaching in Wilkes-Barre, so 2 hour drive. Prepared for that, in bed by probably like 10:30, 11 o'clock. But before
So
I
you're
went to
acting like
bed,
Nucc. You were acting like Nucc.
yeah, Tyler
In
was
bed,
not.
good time.
Yeah, Tyler was not. Tyler
Yeah,
knew that.
we're gonna get to know two different types of Tyler Antonucci's here. There's a Nucc and there's a Tyler. So when we
Yeah,
reference Nucc, Nucc is the good one.
yeah, he'll always be on the podcast. If Tyler's on the podcast, you might as well just turn it off. But I decided to have buffalo chicken salad. Yeah, we're not gonna rat out, the
Yeah,
restaurant.
don't rat anybody out. Don't rat anybody out. That'll stay personal.
Yeah, because it's actually a phenomenal place to eat.
Phenomenal
Probably like
place.
4.9, if not 5 out of 5 stars. But decided that I thought a sell by was like after sell by, you can get a couple days after. Sell by meaning, well, I guess once it's sell by, it's expired, and I found that out the hard way. Um, 5 a.m. woke up. 5 a.m. woke up, and it felt like I was gargling acid. Like that's what it felt like. So obviously you can put together what happened after that at 5 a.m. Went back to sleep and maybe an hour on, hour off sleep, repeat the cycle. Got in the car to drive to Wilkes-Barre in the morning. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but sometimes you just you just got to do it. So I did. Only pulled the car over once.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how many stops did you have along the way? Was the stop the side of the road or was it?
Yes.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it was like
So you just had
it
to
was
do
like
it.
I don't need to stop, but this looks like a good place to season. So I just got out, did my thing, and got back in. And it was my fault though. I had a Celsius in the morning because I didn't sleep the night before, so I wanted to be energized. So I had
So
3 sips of a Celsius, and that was the worst idea ever. So then that came back up. The whole game was fine. Like it was 2 games too, not just one. So the
yeah,
first
no,
game
you
was
go to Wilkes, you're not playing just one down there. You're gonna get a nice little doubleheader in youth hockey land.
yeah. So I think the first one was 11 something. We won that one. Tight game. So had to do a little bit of coaching. The second one, I started feeling worse, and I got nervous. I was like, if this is another close game, like, and I have to leave the bench, like, what's gonna happen?
Are you the only one
So
on the bench, or do you have the other guys out there with you?
first game, I had the other coach with me. Second game, I was by myself. So that's what I was terrified of. Like the first game, I was like, if I have to leave the bench, it is what it is. Second game, I was like, no one else can. I can't just leave these kids on the bench. So I just stood there, hands in pockets, and told them what lines we were running, how the lines were going to be ran. They knew I was sick, and good news is we kind of rolled, and there wasn't a time where like I had to do any significant coaching. So I was just more so a supervisor. They handled their business.
Yeah, it looks like you
Um,
guys took care of it 7-3. Not bad.
yeah, so that was a good game, and we survived. And I thought I would be fine. Last time I had food poisoning, it was like 24 hours, 36 hours, good to
Yeah,
go.
that's usually what it is.
First meal I had was club crackers, chicken noodle soup, perfect, good to go.
Smart.
Second meal, pliable, costable from
Well,
Pliables in
that's on you,
Hoboken.
dude. You
No, it was,
went for it a little bit.
yeah, I
What was
kept
the
it
bowl
down.
though?
A costable banana. Banana's good
Okay.
for you.
Okay.
So I was good. That felt fine. And then last night after practice, it was Poke Bowl night here at the house, and felt good. Went down, woke up this morning before work and said, "This is it's not gone yet. It's still here." And now I'm back to
Ginger ale only.
2-liter bottle, recommended by my lady friend. We'll get into that later, maybe.
Are you so you got the Seagram's ginger ale there? Like, are you
Oh, I
are
thought
you
you were going to ask me
specifically?
something else.
No, we'll get in. Well, that's a later type of topic. Are you a
Yeah.
Are you a Seagram's guy, or was that just like the only ginger ale you saw and that's what you grabbed? Like, it's
No,
a little bit of a debate. Like, is it Canada Dry or is it Seagram's?
this was a DoorDash Acme order 2 blocks away. Didn't want to get up during work, so my friend, I think his name was Juan, texted me and said no Canada Dry left. Sent me the pictures of what was the options, and that's what I went with.
So you tried to get Canada Dry first.
Yes, that was what
I
was
think
on
that's
the door.
I think that's the right move. I mean, I'm a ginger ale guy on like a Sunday morning, like with a bagel. Start feeling better about my life on a Sunday morning.
Yeah,
And I'm a Canada Dry guy, so I just
no,
kind of
I
wanted to
had
see where you were at with all that.
yeah Canada Dry for sure. And then I had white cheddar rice cakes and a batch of bananas was my Acme order.
And now, how has it been today? Are you feeling back? Are you feeling
Well, this
like
morning
you're gonna
wasn't
have
great.
to, like, you got practice and everything again tomorrow? Like, how you feeling heading into practice tomorrow?
I'm good. It's just I just got to be smart with what I eat. But when do I test the stomach again? Is the question I have.
When is the next like spicy hot meal to like really see what's going on down there?
Friday night, New York City. I have a dinner date.
Wow. Should we
And
just get into it? Should we just
at
talk about Nuc's life for a second before we get into all the hockey and everything?
an
Like,
Italian restaurant.
what's the like go to an Italian restaurant, what are you thinking right away? Like, what's your go-to meal? Like, what are you going to want to get Friday night that like you're going to be a little nervous to get?
And anything, any pasta I'm getting, I'm gonna finish the whole thing.
Yeah, like that's fair.
It's not like
I just
not
think like everybody has a meal though, right? Like when I go to an Italian restaurant, like I'm a big spicy like rigatoni guy. Like you don't have a meal that you're like, this is what I want, and like I'm afraid if I'm going to keep it down or not. What if you don't keep it down? What if you don't keep it down? Like what if like something happens in the middle of Manhattan Friday night and like this is a big one, right? Is this the second one? Third? Like what number is this? Like
we're in double digits.
You're in double digits already, but like so you're comfortable if like you throw up like at her feet like on like 9th Avenue. Like you're comfortable with that or
Yeah, she knows I have food poisoning. She knows that I updated her on everything. So we're good to go in that aspect. But
okay, that's fair.
it's more so for my sake. Like I want to enjoy the meal. Like
yeah, no,
I'm
I mean
excited.
if you start looking at a week into stomach issues, like we might have to get you somewhere and get you checked out because that might be a little bit bigger than just
I'm
maybe
already
we're getting old.
nervous.
Yeah, like we're getting old, we're getting fat. Like maybe we got something going on inside of us now. Like
Yeah,
so
like maybe go.
I'll bring you to the doctor though if you need to. Just know I got your back on all that. So
yeah, well, I'm also 26 now, so you know what happens at 26, right?
yeah, I mean I've been there, done that 4 years ago, right? Like that's just
off mom and dad's insurance, so I got to make my own doctor appointments, and I haven't been to a physical in 3 years.
Yeah, you know what the mistake you made is though? You should have gotten everything in right before the 26th birthday. Like that was something my sister did a really good job at. I probably did like a 60% good job at that. Like get all those doctor's appointments in like one last time before you're off mom and dad's insurance. How? What do you mean you are?
It's the end of the year. It's 2 months away. So it changes in 2024.
Even though you just turned 26 in September.
Correct. I have it till 2024. So I have a dermatologist appointment on Friday. I have a physical and blood work in 2 weeks.
Get them all in.
Yeah, I'm a guinea pig right now. Like I'm running around the wheel providing energy for myself.
Perfect. Get them all in. Get all the appointments in. It's a smart thing to do, and then put them off till you're 30, dude. Nothing good happens from 26 to 30 anyway. So let's just put off all the results until 30 years old because
Yeah.
there's just no point.
No.
So I respect it though. But let's get into some hockey talk. How's hockey life been, right? We've had a lot of stuff go on in the month of September. Fall Classic, NA Showcase. You've been all over the place. NA regular season started. NCDC Showcase just happened up at the Boston Junior Bruins. Like, what stood out, right? You were at the Fall Classic. Like, give me something. Give me like a hot take right off the bat. USHL, what do you got?
A hot take?
Yeah.
Oh, easy hot take. I don't know if it's a hot take, though. The NTDP, how do I put this nicely? Might be the weakest team they've put on the ice in a while for 18s.
Really?
Yeah.
Even with the big boys like Yzerman and Hagens.
Well, the big boys do their thing.
You're
Yzerman,
talking like
Hagens.
a little bit of their depth guys, like putting a full team together right now?
Okay, let's just say this. Obviously, it's the NTDP, and they're all good players. Don't get me wrong. I would never take anything away from them, but they're all like, it's like the top guys, and then they're all together. There's no like secondary, like, oh, like there's Hagens, but watch this second line center come on the ice. And Yzerman and Hagens don't play together, which I think they should, but I'm not an experienced coach, but I think it would just be fun to watch.
Yeah, but you're getting there,
Power
dude.
play.
Don't sell yourself short, dude. Give yourself some credit. Come on, you've been around the block.
The power play is incredible to watch with Cole up top, and then Cole Hudson, Cole Yzerman.
Yeah, I mean, some of the crap they could do, right? Like you're talking the 18 team, right? You saw them play, right? And
yeah,
I got a chance to even see the 17s play, right? Out at the NA Showcase when they played New Mexico and El Paso. Like the stuff they do with the puck, like on power plays and stuff like that, is some of the most impressive stuff I've seen in a long time. Yeah. But I didn't mean to cut you off, but like back to the 18s, like wow, that's.
Well, I mean,
I respect it, like because. I mean, Yzerman and Hagens are no joke, right? And they're going to lead that team throughout the whole year, throughout USHL season, throughout their college stuff, right? Like, I don't know, man.
I mean, it's just
that's kind of wild.
It's just my like, I don't know. Just watching them, I wasn't like, wow. That's all. Like they're playing. Like I don't know how good the USHL teams were that they were playing, but it's just they just didn't like stand out, and that event is unbelievable. Like they do a great job with just from top to bottom, the younger tiers all the way up to the USHL. Like the fact that those kids get to watch USHL, and then the Penguins were there. So you're not playing. You're going to the UPMC, I believe, the Lemieux Sports Complex.
Yep.
And we got to watch the non-game group skate. The non-game group was 12 Pittsburgh Penguins that are all veterans. So Crosby, Carlson, Letang, Malkin, Cookie, Noel Achari was out there, Jeff Carter. So a lot of like, and it was just a sick practice to watch, like just 12 to 14 Pittsburgh Penguins veterans. And like that's going on while this crazy event's happening at the same time. So it was really cool.
Yeah, it's sick. They do a great job, right? And I think getting all that talent on one, and I think they run it really well too. I think they do a good job of bringing half the teams in and then half the teams out. They do a good job, right? I think it maximizes times for, the college scouts getting to know them and talk to them a little bit to be able to have them not sit around and watch 8 games in one day, right, in a row, or even 4 games, whatever it may be, right? Like 4 games in a row, that's almost 12 hours in a row of hockey, right? So I think they do a really good job how they run the whole event out there. Now, let me ask you a question. I think we talked about it a little bit off air. I was kind of shocked by the result Muskegon had on game 2 out there when they kind of got beat up by, I believe it was Dubuque.
Mm-hmm.
But the Muskegon Lumberjacks, dude, can I get a couple thoughts on Muskegon? I was able to go out to their main camp this year and go check them out a little bit. Was grateful enough where they invited me out there and allowed me to come out and watch. And I got to tell you, man, that's an impressive hockey team that they got out in Muskegon. I think the kid, and I'm going to butcher his name, and I apologize in advance, number 9, the Saka Boishvert, I believe. It's like the closest I'm going to get to it. I think a team's got to take a risk on him in the top 15 this year come the National Hockey League draft. And if they don't, I think they're going to be looking at themselves in 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it may be, that, damn, I probably should have taken a shot when team number 22, whoever that may be, is going to get a steal a little bit later in the first round. I think the kid's an absolute stud. I think he can fly. I think the way he supports pucks is absolutely unbelievable. And the time and space he has, and then obviously his hands in tight, right? We've had a couple highlight reel goals early on from him. I think the kid's sick. And obviously I think they come down the middle with 3 North Dakota commits. So you can't really that's a special hockey team out there this year.
Yeah, they're very good. Dubuque was really good too, though. But
Dubuque's got the kid in net that's drafted by Ottawa, right? And then even Muskegon has the kid from Dubuque in net, the Paxton Geisel kid. I think what's interesting about Muskegon too is if you look at whether or not it's their actual roster now or their affiliates or their depth at the goaltending position, they have an absolute wealth of talent at the goaltending position, right? You come down right now with their 7th overall pick, I believe it was, the kid Lucas Siska, who's committed to Maine, right? They obviously traded for Paxton Geisel, the goaltender, committed to Denver, right? And then in their system, right, you have Thomas Kieswetter, who's now out in the BCHL, committed to Princeton. And then you got probably one of my favorite American goalies out there right now, Stephen Peck, kid in North American Hockey League with Bismarck, committed to Michigan, played at Avon last year. And then they even brought in an import. So what I was a little shocked about, though, is the amount that they're giving up, right? Like, goals. They're able to – exactly, right? Like, they're able to score, like – I know you watched them for about a period or so out there, right? You got your own stuff going on and everything. Like, what is your thought on them as, like, a full team, right? Like, they have the wealth of talent up front. They got the goaltending. And I even think some of their D are very impressive too, right? Like, I don't know. I was shocked about how many goals they gave up out there, especially to Dubuque. And don't get me wrong, I agree with you. Dubuque's a hell of a hockey team, but this Muskegon team is pretty impressive to me this year.
Yeah, I think the first thing is how big the D are. They all got pretty big size on them, height-wise. And then I think they just play fast. Like, they're go, go, go. A lot of the times it was like odd man rushes coming back or like just broken up plays. For the first period I was watching, and then the game kind of got crazy once we left. I think we were checking the score, but I don't really know. I haven't watched the USHL enough to comment, but Dubuque and Muskegon both looked good. Dubuque, I just think, looked good playing the NTDP. Like, they didn't look out of place at all. So I mean, they should have won the game.
Yeah, and like you said, I don't think you're wrong at all in the sense of, especially their D on the back end with Muskegon, right? They're all guys that are pretty fleet of foot. The Jack Sparks kid coming in at 6'8", right? Drafted by LA, I believe it is. Then obviously you got Owen Keefe, right? The little left shot there, about 6 foot, committed to Boston University. Dad's over at Northeastern, right? Another really fleet of foot hockey player there. They're just an impressive team. It's one of the teams I kind of want to follow all year and just kind of see who and what they're all about and how they develop throughout the year. Because, I mean, I got to tell you, man, when I was out there at their main camp, maybe it was a little bit biased just because I was out there. I was like, oh, boy, this looks like a Clark Cup championship banner's coming to this place this year. But it's been a good start for them. They settled down this past weekend, had 2 wins. And, now they're back, into regular season play here away from the showcase. So they're going to be pretty impressive. Another team off to a hot start out there, right? You got the 2 teams in first place. You got Fargo and Madison. I think Madison, another team with, some wealth of goaltending in net, right? You got Carson Musser right there, committed to CC and drafted by Arizona. And then you got the Patrick Bearson's kid in net, right? The Latvian junior goalie who's committed to Maine. 2 unbelievable goaltenders with a lot of, ability to score up front as well. And I think, at least for me personally, I'm a goalie guy, so I'm always going to talk about goalies and get into goalies a little bit. If you can get goaltending in the United States Hockey League, you got a chance to win from day one, right? There's going to be a lot of goals scored. If you can keep games under, 4 goals a game, 3 goals a game, I think you got a hell of a chance to win a championship out there. And I think you saw that last year with Youngstown, right? The kid Fowler in net was an absolute animal.
Yeah. So,
what else?
Yeah.
Anything else from out there? I know there's a lot going on that week, but what else you got from out there?
No, we touched on the NHL side of it, the USHL side of it, and then obviously the 18s, 16s, 15s, whatever else was out there.
Did anybody stick out to you, young guys, right? Like you played, I remember you talking to me about how that Canes team out there at the 15 level, right? Like talk about some of that stuff, some of the teams you played out there at the 15 level, and kind of if anybody stood out, real young wise to start, kind of keeping an eye on and just kind of looking at a little bit.
Yeah, no player specifically. I was talking to you about how funny it was that I'm standing in the hallway before the game, and the coaching staff of Carolina is Justin Williams and Ryan Smith. And I was like, that's just crazy. Like that they're obviously coaching 15U hockey, but it's obviously cool to still, be in a position to see them and coach against them. And then Matt Cullen was there, I think, coaching one of the teams. But the 15U, like just being around events like that, and 16U, the talent is just crazy. Like on every team, like there's so many good players. And one of the big things, like me and all my friends talk about, is like how good everyone's getting. Like the stuff that
God,
these
it's
kids
nuts,
can
dude.
do is like, I'm just like, whoa! Like we were not that good when we played, and
Yeah, no
so there's a
shot.
yeah, that tournament just had a boatload of talent. And I think another huge thing is just how good New Jersey hockey's getting. Like all of the New Jersey organizations that were there, and the players from Jersey on other teams, whatever it is, in the USHL, like we're making a big name for ourselves. So I just kind of want to shout that out, just being from Jersey.
Yeah, and I think you talk about Matt Cullen and Justin Williams being there for coaching teams and everything. It might sneaky be like the quickest way to get an NHL head coaching job. Like, is that not what Marty St. Louis just did with Mid Fairfield, and then
Yeah,
got a job with the Montreal Canadiens? So it
I
might
think it
sneaky
helps.
be like the way to go right now. I think these guys might be onto something.
I think it
Um,
helps with your name though. That might tie into it a little bit.
But I don't know, man. Maybe it's the quickest path. I mean, and then you talk about, especially at the 15 level that you're at. You guys up in North Jersey, the Rockets right there in the top 12 in the country, according to my hockey rankings, right? And then you kind
Hmm.
of go to just about anything else, right? You go to 16s, and you're going to have teams just up there as well, right? Even you got the Long Island Gulls out there, another semi-local team, right? You got a Flyers team in the top 20 as well. So I think there's a lot of like you said, man. I mean, some of the programs around here are just really starting to do their things the right way. The Rockets at the 18 level in the top 10 right now, according to my hockey rankings. And yeah, no, you're right. It's absolutely impressive. Junior Flyers at 21 overall, right? 18. So it's impressive what a lot of teams are doing. It's good to see these teams finally traveling too, right? I think it's super important for these young kids to get out to more than just New Jersey at this point. So it's pretty cool stuff, man, and it's sick to watch you kind of be a part of it. And now you get to see it, firsthand on what it's all about. Um, I think moving on here, right, a little bit on the USHL there, and I think a fairly hot take coming out of Tyler Antonucci's mouth about the U.S. team, but that's something we're gonna have to follow here coming up. I think let's move on to the North American League here. Obviously, the greatest show on ice back in Blaine, Minnesota, September 13th to the 16th. Another great event run by a great league. Do a great job out there. A lot of hockey, a lot of scouts, all 32 teams in one building for 4 straight days. 4 straight days, a lot of hockey, right? A lot of opportunity to see a lot of guys. And I think, right off the bat, you start looking at standings and everything and, kind of who went undefeated, who went 3-1 out there, right? You have the Northeast Generals, jumping out to 4-0 out there, playing with a ton of pace, playing with a ton of speed. You have the Colorado Grit, one of the new teams in the league, finishing up with a 3-0-1 record. I believe they lost in a shootout on their last day there. Day four could kind of go just about either way on day four there. And another team that plays with a little bit of pace, plays with probably a little bit more structure than Northeast does, and they did a great job out there as well. I think kind of one of the things I saw and one of the things I noticed out there is I thought the East Division did fairly well from themselves, right? A couple teams, didn't fare as well, but you had Northeast out there go 4-0. You had the Maine Nordiques go 3-0-1. Even the new Rochester team, I believe, went 2-2 or even 3-1 out there. And then obviously Maryland kind of sticks to what they've been doing, and they're back in the first place here early in the year. I think the East Division showed pretty well out there. You had the Janesville Jets play pretty well, and a team that takes a little bit of a different approach to the North American Hockey League, probably stays a little bit younger, and finds a way to have another pretty decent record out there. I got to tell you, one of the kids that fairly impressed me out there, and then even this past weekend, getting to see him a little bit up close, kid named Massimo Gentili. He's playing with the Rochester Americans right now. came from the CCHL. He's got 16 points in 10 games. He's at 8-8. The kid's been super impressive. He was super impressive in 4 games out there for Rochester. Him and Matteo DiCipio are kind of carrying Rochester right now and kind of leading the charge for them. They've been super impressive as a new team. I think the Gentili kid really comes with a lot of hockey IQ. He's been super impressive. He played for that Ottawa team that went to the Centennial Cup last year, the Junior Sens. The kid's been super impressive. I think he's got a pretty bright future ahead of him, and he's leading a Rochester team that's, new to the league and has a lot to learn in the North American Hockey League, but he's got them off to a pretty good start here. What I know it's a little tougher for you sometimes. What do you got North American League, and kind of what are you looking at out there?
Yeah, I think just playing in that league and that event, it's so different. Like when you play the East, in the East all the time, obviously the play styles kind of line up. So that's like the best event to kind of match up at the beginning and see how everyone else plays. So that's why it's a little nice to see how everyone matches up against each other, the good teams, bad teams, everyone kind of pans out. Just for, a lot of the teams in specific, it's the rosters are bigger, so a lot more people are going into the lineup every day and coming out of the lineup than the regular season. So there's a little bit more pressure, I'm assuming, on everyone that's trying to make a name for themselves.
And you actually bring up a pretty good point with that, right? I think a lot of the teams that are kind of having some success out there are teams that bring more guys, right? Like, now you playing in the league and understanding what the league is all about, right? You don't have to get down to certain roster numbers till a certain date. Do you think it's more beneficial for guys to have a bigger roster out there, so you got guys competing all the time and really working to make a hockey team? Or do you think it's more beneficial to go with 26 guys and start teaching right from the beginning and trying to understand who or what your hockey team's all about? Because I feel like we get a little bit of an opinion on both sides of it.
I think it just depends on the caliber of your team. If you have 26 of the right guys, then do it. And if you need more guys to compete, and it's more so just the roster construction of what you have. What's obviously going to be on the team more than anything. I think that's the biggest thing. If you need a competitiveness and you need people to compete and make a name for themselves, then do that. If you're content with your team, you think it's a lot of returners. You kind of coached a lot of them last year, and they have the same habits and same X's and O's in their brain going into it. Then just stick with your guys and go with a smaller roster is what I would say.
Yeah, it's a wild concept, right? I think there's been a lot out there back and forth, what's right, what's wrong. And I think, honestly, I think a lot of teams who bring extra guys are having a little bit more success out there. I think, obviously, you think about the 4 games in 4 days. Do you need extra bodies just to kind of get through those 4 days? Or do you just roll with what you got? And I think it's an interesting concept. It's an interesting conversation because I think teams struggle with it from, time to time on what's right, what's wrong. But there's a lot of fun hockey out there, It's been a lot of fun to watch. Another kid off to another hot start in the league, the Dimitri Kebrew kid back down from Maryland, who decided to, stick his 20-year-old year in Maryland, not chase anything, committed to Alaska Anchorage up there, off to another hot start. Some of the guys out in the South, the Jack Ivey kid and the Ivey brothers down in Amarillo, both committed to Army, off to another really good start for their hockey teams. Big, long hockey players, take up a ton of space, play nice and physical. It's going to be an impressive year to watch kind of what unfolds here in the North American League. It's off to a really good start. Some teams off to better jumps than others, right? There's still one winless team in the league in Springfield, right? A couple teams with just 1 win, 2 wins, stuff like that. But a lot of fun stuff coming out of the North American Hockey League pretty early on here. And obviously all the teams looking forward to getting back into in-division play. Moving on, I guess we should touch on the NCDC here a little bit. They just had their showcase up at New England Sports Center up there with a bunch of the East teams, the Boston Junior Bruins Showcase. One of the words I'm hearing out of the NCDC, a lot of good younger talent in the NCDC. You talk about the 06s, possibly an 07 sprinkled in here or there. The Rockets have 2 07s from Quebec that have been pretty impressive early on. That Powell Islanders team off to another really good start. Some young talent in the NCDC this year, where maybe teams in the North American League, teams in the USHL start looking to kind of really understand who's what and who's where to start looking for the next couple of years. Now, question for you on that quick. Beneficial to play junior hockey that young, or should they be playing 18s?
That was going to be my question. I mean,
well, I asked first, so you got to answer. Like, I'll volley back on mine, but
07s can play 16U.
Facts. They can. 05s and 06s.
No. It personally, as a player, if you're an 07 and you could play 16U hockey, do it.
16U in the States, or because let's just volley back to the two Rockets kids, right? Like,
let's play 16? Rockets. Let's play Rockets 16U. Let's go for a full season. Then take the next season. If you want to play NCDC, split half and half between 18U and NCDC. I don't know if they do that there, but do that. But I don't think rushing into any junior league, unless it's like the top, OHL and stuff like that, is necessary. Obviously NTDP does it, but and the top USHL guys, like those are the top players in the country, correct? Those 07s that would even be playing in the USHL. Can you even do that?
Yeah, so the USHL, like, their tender process, right?
Yeah, it's 07s, right?
It's 07s, and you have to play, I believe it's 40% of the games, whatever the games are, but there's usually just one per team out there. So, but let me ask something though, right? You're saying that, and I think you're making a great point, but let me bring up a player to you just really quickly. There was an 06
last year.
An 06 who played for the Humboldt Broncos last year. Matthew Van Blerkum committed to Michigan Tech and played in the SJHL last year as an 06. Mm-hmm. You have some young 06s, 07s and stuff playing junior hockey that are getting commitments out of playing junior hockey, right? Like, you could even look at the kid, I believe he played in the USPHL Premier last year as an 07. His name is off the top of my head. I can't remember his name, but committed to Nebraska Omaha. There's a little bit of a benefit to it, I think, because if you can get in and start showcasing your ability against older guys, right? And something you're going to have to do in college, right? Guys, if you're going to come in a little bit younger in college at 19 years old, you could possibly be playing against 24, 25-year-olds. So I understand what you're saying, but there's a couple kids out there that have taken the junior route early and benefited from it pretty substantially.
I mean, I've never really looked at it like that. Like, I just thought like junior hockey is like older, and then obviously there's the top leagues that keep those younger guys and the best players in the country there at the youngest birth year. But then like I don't know. I just think of like, so what would that be when I played, right? I'm a 97, so that would be, I was a year out of an age out. So what is the age out this year?
Age out's 03s, so it's a 5-year difference, baby.
So it's a 4-year difference.
It would have been an 02 for you.
Like,
right,
if my brother played on my junior team, there's a 0% chance he would have survived 2 weeks.
And I don't necessarily disagree with that, right? I think the North American Hockey League is a little bit different, right? It's an older hockey league, and it's a lot of 20-year-olds.
Are all the leagues changing where it's just like the NHL, where it's more skill, more pace, and everyone can do their thing? Like, is physicality being taken out of the game more so in every single league, that these kids now with skill and have the same skill set as a kid 3 years older than them can compete now, where they don't have to worry about toe dragging, getting their head blown off like 3 years ago in junior hockey, where now they can do it and fit in, but it doesn't matter if they have an 07 or an 03 next to their name on the roster.
I think it's a fair point. I don't believe there's any 07s off the top of my head in the league this year. I know there are a lot of 06s in the North American League, so I do think you are kind of seeing that shift a little bit. There are your teams like the Lone Stars and the Austins and teams that, carry all your 20-year-olds still. But it's an interesting point, because if everything's turning that way, obviously we believe college hockey is probably turning that way too, right? So I think you might be better off going to play junior hockey.
Yeah, I think that's the way it's shifting is what I'm trying to get at, right? You look at Canada, like they're taking fighting out of one of the junior leagues. Like if I'm an '07, I don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. Like why not? Why not go play against bigger and better competition? The
Yeah, I
only
mean,
negative would be like the strength and that aspect. If that's slowly getting taken out more and more, then go do your thing and compete with better players on your team and against other players in the country.
yeah, it's just wild how much is changing, right? Like I've been hearing that about the NCDC that it's a little bit younger. I mean, obviously they've taken the approach in their last few drafts. They've gone away from that 20-year-old draft and 19-year-old draft, right? They've gone to the futures draft model, and now the fact that the league is kind of changing that way is kind of what I'm hearing about. Those are kind of the guys to look out for in that league this year. Some of the 06s, some of the 07s, and I don't even think 07s are really fully ready to play in this league next year. Now, obviously, we're getting into the 08 talk, and it's crazy. I just feel like I'm getting older and older and older, and everybody just stays the same age, right? Like, what is that? Which movie is that?
I don't know, not a movie guy. Yeah, I'm gonna ask you a question now, Shap, since you asked me one.
Okay, what do you got for me? I'm all in. I love
From
questions.
from being around, organizations longer than I have from a higher up standpoint than being a player, do you think that there's ever going to be a point where there's going to be junior leagues that are the same skill set are now going to filter into each other? So whereas if now and a couple of years ago, a lot of the player pool is competition, right? It's recruiting. Like we have to go get that guy, make sure he doesn't go to the CCHL, make sure he doesn't go to the NCDC. Now with the age group kind of one going younger and skilled, is it just going to be like, let's go all take the NCDC guys that played 2 seasons as 07s and put them in the North American Hockey League now, where it's never ever going to be a competition of recruiting anymore because you're not going to want to play 4 years in the NCDC, or you're going to want to play 2 years in the NCDC as an 07 and go to the USHL. Like, do you understand what I'm asking?
Yeah, and honestly, I'm gonna volley back. I think the NCDC, when you recruit out of the NCDC from where we're at, I think the look of it right now is that you want to leave and come play in the North American Hockey League, right? Like, I don't, and I think what you're trying to say is, do you think it's ever going to be on the same level, right?
I'm just saying, like, where that doesn't even have to be a factor anymore. Like, the notion is I'm going to go develop in the NCDC or even another league. Like, I'm going to go develop in another junior league
Because that's
as
kind
a
of what it
younger
is right
player.
now, right? That's what it is right now. Like, say there's an 06 in the OJ right now, right? That is
Correct.
uncommitted and wants to go play in the North American League, wants to go play in the USHL, whatever it may be. That's what it
Mm-hmm.
is. So you're trying to say, do you think at some point the OJ and the NCDC are going to be on the same level as the North American League and the USHL? Because call it for what it is, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, the North American League and the USHL are higher than pretty much anything besides the BCHL right now, correct? Right? Like even guys want to,
Yeah.
they want to leave the AJ, they want to leave the MJ out there, right? Just from experience, right? Now, do I ever think it's going to be on the same level? No, I don't, and maybe that's just naive and biased to me because I'm in one of those leagues, and I kind of always want to have that recruiting uptick of, hey, come play in a little bit better league against better competition with more Division One commitments. Um, I think the biggest struggle anybody's going to find right now isn't necessarily with the NCDC, but more with these younger guys committing in the SJ, in the AJ, in the OJ, and now they have their commitment. Why go anywhere? Right? And I think
Yeah.
the only league that can still take guys with commitments would be the USHL. Right? The USHL is tier one. It is what it is, right? It's the end all be all almost. But if for example, if Matthew Van Blaricum from Humboldt, I'm on pace to have, how EP does those crazy on pace things, right? Points wise, like
Mhm.
I'm on pace to have 112 points in the SJ. I'm already committed to Michigan Tech. I'll go try the USHL. If I can get there, great, awesome. I'm sure Michigan Tech would love me to be there. But if not, Michigan Tech committed me out of the SJ, so I'm all good. Like, I think that's probably the bigger battle, in my opinion, is that these kids who commit in these Canadian junior leagues are going to ultimately just want to stay, right? I think the NCDC is still a little bit of a step behind the North American League, and I think ultimately you have to come to the North American League to get that Division I commitment, unless you're the top 1% of what's in the NCDC, right? Like the kid we have on our team this year, Jack Hillier, right? Still taking a shot on the North American League, right? But had his commitment to Sacred Heart and still has his commitment, right? I think that's probably the bigger battle to face. I understand what you're trying to say and like just uniformity almost. Maybe I'm naive and just biased to say that that's not on the horizon, but it
I
certainly
was more so
wouldn't
asking
shock me.
if it's like a notion where, I'm going to play in this league and then go to a different league. Like, that's just a thing. Like, this is now a feeder league no matter what, is what I was asking. And I also think that you brought up another good point is your college commitment. Like, that coach or that school is going to have a lot to do with where you're playing most of the time.
100%. And I mean, I think anybody would be naive and stupid to kind of recognize that. Like, that is what it is. Like, colleges, they kind of hold all the power. And
Do you know how to solve that?
I feel like you're going to tell me the answer.
You go play in the ACHA.
Now we're talking. How could you not get excited about Liberty of Minot State 2 weeks ago at midnight? A nice little 4-2 win for Minot State, dude. Are you kidding me? How could you not get excited about that?
I'll say it. I would go back and redo it all over again, and I would play ACHA 1,000%.
I couldn't agree more in that. Like, I mean, yeah, there's stuff you look back on, right? And you talk about making friendships and making,
Yes. Do I regret my decision? No.
No.
Did I have fun where I went? And did I love playing at that level of college hockey and satisfied with the fact that I got to do that and everything I put into the sport, paid off? Yes. But
I agree with you, man. Like, how could you pass up, like, Kentucky's Midnight Madness every Friday night home game? Like, I don't know, that whole process and what goes on there, and now especially with the Liberties of the world, the Minot States, the UNLVs, right? And at some point, I think a lot of these teams will end up going Division I. I think the NCAA is going to get greedy and see all the money and everything. And I didn't realize this was just like a complete and utter soapbox against the NCAA for me, but here we are. But I do think, looking back on it, I do agree with you. You could have gotten everything you got out of NCAA hockey at the ACHA level.
Close. I think you could have got more aspects that are more enjoyable than you did at the NCAA level, but just you'd have to go to like a top ACHA school to get treated the way you do at some.
Yeah, you'd have to go to a Liberty, a UNLV, a Minot State, right? Like just like I just mentioned, some of those top ones.
Yeah, I ain't getting 100 in 2018 in D3 hockey at the Sudiac. I'm putting up 102 in the ACHA.
Yeah, so it's yeah, man. ACHA hockey, I'm in on that. I could really get behind that, like, big time.
Yeah, so what made me think about that was when I was in Pittsburgh, we had a game at like, I want to say like 5 o'clock, random rink in Pittsburgh. Walk in, get to the locker room. It's like one of those rinks where it's like you have to walk through the rink to get to the back rink. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a door in the back that says rink. So we walk into the back rink, and it's ACHA Pittsburgh versus Navy overtime 3-on-3, and I just got so fired up. I was like, imagine being out here. And then what I was thinking is these guys could care less if this puck goes in the net, but if it does, they're taking a bus all together to go watch Pittsburgh down the street and pregame the college football game.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's the aspect that you talk about, right? The difference between NCAA and ACHA. You're probably a lot less of a serious about it, and you're all willing to have like fun and stuff like that. And then to be able to do it with sorry, my Siri just went off there. I don't know what she wanted, but
she probably wanted to tell you that Minot swept Liberty at Liberty and then 2 wins at home versus Liberty, so 4 in a row.
They ended. I know they took them both at Liberty. We were watching them at Northeast. We had the midnight game on. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, so
We were
that's what
flipping
Siri was
back and
probably
forth.
telling you.
We were flipping back and forth between Minot State and the Kings and Coyotes in Australia. We ended up on Minot State Liberty. Wow, they won both of them back because I saw they played again this past weekend. I didn't realize they won both of them there. Wow, is Minot State on the way to a national championship this year? Like, can we call it early?
Do I have a year of eligibility left? Or on the peeper?
I don't know, man. They got some pretty good hockey players out there. They got a bunch of guys from like the SJ. They got like all the guys up in Minot, up in the NA, who just didn't want to go play NCAA, just stayed at home and played. Now they're playing for Minot State up there. It's like they got it all figured out. Like I need more of that in my life.
Speaking of which, crazy story and on eligibility. My friend who coaches hockey, let's just keep it at that. My age played in college as well, and then this year joined the golf team for the college because he has a year of eligibility left.
So, is his name J.R. Smith or
no? But the fact that he's like
that's unbelievable.
Played so long ago, now he's back just playing college golf. Like, come on, that's great.
That's J.R. Smith playing in the NBA for 15 years and then going back to play college golf at, I believe it was North Carolina A&T, something like that. Like, that's unbelievable. Like, it's the same story as a 33-year-old punter on Colorado State with 3 kids and a wife punting for Colorado State. Like, you kidding me? Against Dion and the Colorado Buffs? I'm in on that.
Yeah.
I think we need to like, I just talked about Colorado and Colorado State, like, got me to like my football mind. We got to talk about your boys, dude.
Like what's let's recap, and preview like what we're going to be going with in hockey, and then we can get into some extracurriculars right now.
Oh, you don't want to talk about how bad the Giants are, or
no, we could talk about that, but let's end the hockey talk. Let's recap and let's preview our next week, what we're going to be looking forward to, and then we can go into football. And I want to get into a little betting talk, and for the listeners that want to, stay on and listen to that, be our guest. But
yeah, so I do think it's been an exciting month of hockey here to start the month of September. Hockey season is in full swing. Some teams in the North American Hockey League have played 10 games already, including us here in New Jersey. So 1/6 of the season has come and gone. The North American League is buzzing right through, and excited to get going here again on our first weekend of October coming up. A lot of good hockey games on tap. So it'll be a lot of fun to keep following the North American League. The USHL in full swing. They're starting to buzz and everything. Youngstown had that big 12-0, 12-rip win on banner night last weekend, and now they're getting back into the full swing of things there. Just want to mention one thing. Chicago Steel, not off to the greatest start. Let's just get that in there. Like, get it together, guys. Like, don't be that team that changes ownership and doesn't have it too figured out anymore. So, but whatever. USHL in full swing, ready to get going again, just like the North American League. A lot of big games on tap. NCDC, just really got going this past weekend with the BJB. I don't know why I say BGB all the time. BJB showcase. Obviously, you got the Western teams doing their thing out there in the new Mountain Division of the NCDC. But a lot of good hockey out there. South Shore off to the hot start there. Pal, hot start. And then you got Ogden and Provo off to the hot start out in the West. So a lot of fun stuff to keep an eye on out there in the NCDC. And then obviously in the youth hockey land, right? My hockey rankings, started coming out over the last week, 2 weeks. A lot of movement here and there early on. A lot of movement.
This week, first rankings came out.
Last week. Today was week 2, so come on, hop on it. Like, let's get going here. Like, what are we doing? A lot of movement today in the hockey rankings, right? And I think people don't realize sometimes how important those rankings are, even though, we can have arguments and talks about it till we're blue in the face about what's right and what's wrong. But a lot of good hockey coming up in the youth hockey landscape as well, right? You got the PHC starting with Northwood, Mount, Shattuck, all those teams, St. Andrews, right, coming down playing those teams. A lot of really good hockey coming up in October as, we're in the full swing of the start of hockey season. So exciting times in the hockey world. And then obviously the National Hockey League coming up. Can't forget that. October 10th, I believe, is that next Tuesday. I think we're just about 6 days away here. So National Hockey League getting going as well. As we're sitting here watching the Devils Rangers preseason on the iPad here, right next to me, the Rangers are having trouble when they score. They let the Devils come back and score right away. But
What's
it
the
is just
score?
preseason. It's 4-2 Devils right now. Devils do have all their big boys in. They've been an impressive hockey team to watch in the preseason, but might not be a good thing if they go 7-0 in the preseason. Might be a recipe for disaster. So kind of hoping they lose. Or do you just go 89-0 going into the playoffs too? Or is that just too much?
Are you done with the recap? Are you done with the recap and preview?
Why? What do you want to talk about? But yes, I'm excited. Hockey season's back, and we're excited to really follow the full swing of hockey season coming up here through October.
Yeah, just going to tell you how absurd that sounded with a Devil's flag waving in the background.
Was that not biased? Was it biased?
Bro, you're one injury away from Brendan Smith playing. You still don't have goaltending. They're going to score 4.5 goals a game, probably lead the NHL, but they're going to lose games 6-5. It's going to happen.
Really? You think so?
No, they're going to be top 3 teams in the NHL, I'll go with. Probably top 5 realistically. I hate to say it. They're unbelievable, but
I'm going to be biased as hell. I don't care. I think that Toffoli, Hughes, and Bratline has 300 combined points this year. Let's just go for
300?
Yes. 300 combined points this year.
Okay, so how many does Jack have?
140.
Perfect. I need him for 103.
I think Brad's good for 100. I think Brad's good for over 100. And then I think Toffoli's going to have 60 tucks. Let's just go for it. I'm in. Hot takes right now. Let's go. 60 tucks for Toffoli this year.
This is Nucc here. We're going to shout out Prize Picks. If you're looking to gamble on over-unders.
No free ads.
Prize Picks, have you heard of it? Seriously.
Yeah, you were the one who told me about it like a week or so ago.
Yeah,
told me about all these overs you're taking on goals. Why don't you tell the listeners? Why don't you tell the listeners how crazy you are?
So I place these bets in New York legally for everyone listening. I take the path of the train, and I do that while I'm in New York. But it's not why I go to New York. I got Brad Marchand, 71 points or more. Connor McDavid, guess the number of points.
125.
More.
Holy shit.
His over-under is at 135.5. Did I take it? Yep. So, Brad Marchand, 71 points. Connor McDavid, 135.5. Bedard, 31 goals or more. But the way he's been playing, he's going to have 62. Phoenix Copley, 22.5 wins, banking on him to be the starter, and LA being very good, as everyone says they're going to be. John Gibson, over 18.5 wins, banking on him getting traded at the deadline, racking up 10 in the second half of the season, and just needing 9 at the beginning of the year with Anaheim. And
I don't even know if he gets to 9 with that Anaheim team.
And then Draisaitl, 51 goals. I feel like if McDavid has 136 points or more, Draisaitl is going to have 51. He hasn't missed that mark in about 3 years. So that's the one I have. That is $45 to win 1,125 if all of those legs hit.
I respect the fact that you're putting the money out there, dude. You're really putting your balls on the table. I respect it. Like, you're just letting everybody know. I respect the hell out of it.
Why not? I'm not scared.
Yeah, no, I know. I just told you I respect it. So.
Scared money don't make money, and I have bankroll management, so it was all.
You're a better man than me, then, dude. You're a better man than me.
I'll
be betting on Southern Utah in about 2 weeks, so.
I had a lot of free play, and then we got quickly. This is all points. I'll just read off quickly. Mitch Marner, 99.5. Eichel, 75.5. Fantilli, 46.5. Hughes, 102.5. Keller, 84.5. And Kyrou, 74.5. If Jack Eichel stays healthy, I don't see a way this loses. I'll be making another $750.
The Kyrou one's interesting, though.
74.5?
You think St. Louis is going to be a good enough hockey team for him? Like,
I don't think it matters.
Really? That just doesn't make any sense.
He's a point-per-game guy in the NHL.
I don't know. I think that St. Louis team is going to take a big step back this year. Unless
Binnington
he's going to have a point per game. Unless Binnington finally gets it together and, like, gets over all of his shenanigans and just plays goaltender.
I think Fantilli 46.5 is an absolute mockery to that human. How do you
We
put
did
that
talk
low?
about that. We did talk
Half
about
a point
that,
per game.
and you ended up convincing me that it's a complete joke to human society, basically.
It is.
So, I'm excited
go
for
ahead.
it. I'm excited to follow it. What? Go ahead with what? What do you want me to ask?
No, we don't need to talk about NHL anymore. You're excited to follow my picks. You're excited to follow the NHL. So am I. Yes, the New York Football Giants. The New York Football Giants. 2 Monday nights in a row. Thought it was Tuesday night or Sunday night, and they didn't have a game. They didn't show up. Monday night, I sat 3 rows off the field, so I got to see it firsthand.
So you saw Daniel Jones get sacked 11 times?
11 times.
Let me ask you a question. I was talking to a good friend of ours, mutual acquaintance, and he makes a really good point.
Can I get some initials?
CD?
Okay, thank you.
He makes a really good point. How do you not bring one offensive lineman in on Tuesday morning and say, hey, man, you're just not good enough. You're cut.
They basically did. They just didn't cut anyone. They brought someone in.
Yeah, like how do you not like cut somebody and say, listen, man, like 11 sacks, like you just didn't do your job tonight. Like we're going to have to move on.
Because they're third string guys. You can't just move on from them. The guys you'd be getting are worse. Those are backups. That's not our starting line.
So where's the starting line? Am I missing something? Are they all hurt? Are all 5 of them hurt?
Yeah, Andrew Thomas is hurt. John Michael Schmitz got hurt during the game. He injured. It was a 4th and 1. Daniel Jones thought he was Jalen Hurts, which he's not. Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl MVP, future MVP. Daniel Jones is not. Daniel Jones is a fraudulent human being. All frauds expire. They tried to do that stupid push play where he stands behind the line and they push him. 2 people got hurt on the same play. Our starting center and our backup tight end, who's vital to blocking, and we didn't even get it.
No, I was watching it. It was
so then we're
it
2
wasn't
backup
even
linemen.
close.
2 backup linemen. I'm pretty sure someone else got hurt that was a backup. And Evan Neal just, I think he's like I call him an easy pass toll. Every time someone goes by, I think he makes money. He doesn't even come close, bro.
Yeah, they're a tough watch, dude. They're a tough
I said to someone on the train on the way home from the game, I said, I hope Daniel Jones shows up at Green Rock pretty soon, like on an off week, bye week, or after the season. I said, why? I said, I'm just going to stand in front of him. And they said, what do you mean? I said, I just want to show him what blocking feels like.
That's incredible.
I think he would buy me a drink. I think he would buy me a drink.
I think he'd be grateful to just finally be protected. It just feels safe.
All I mean. Do you think he goes to sleep at night with a weighted blanket on?
Just to feel something?
just to feel protected. Man.
That's unbelievable. I had to ask because I knew you were at the game the other night, so I just kind of wanted to get your up close and personal perspective on.
It's just annoying. Like I could go to games too, and I just.
You sound sad, dude. They sound like...
I am, because I don't want to go to Giants games. I have the ability to go to Giants games, and I don't want to go. Now, when the Rangers are the same Rangers that they always are, it's like, okay, let's go to the Garden. They might win. They might lose. Let's pay $16 for popcorn. That's what my life's coming back to. 82 games I have to watch now. I thought that, it's October 4th. In 2 Sundays from now, I'm going to be mocking out an NFL draft to see if we're getting Caleb Williams or Marvin Harrison Jr.
It's a tough life.
Like, we are worse than the Chicago Bears.
No, you're not. I'm sorry, you're not.
Do we play them? No.
You don't play the Bears this year?
No, I don't think so. I think college football ends by then. That would be the same game. It'd be a college football, like, matinee, Giants versus Bears. But I'm telling you right now, I think they would beat us.
I don't think so, man. The Bears are a bad football team.
We can't score.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. No first half touchdowns all year.
First half touchdowns. We have 7 wide receivers that are all pretty good at football. Like average, they would play on any other team in the NFL, no questions asked. 7 of them. 6 of them probably, 7 of them might not. The one that might not is Sterling Shepard. The rest of them should play. And Can't get them the ball. It's impossible.
It's all right, man. It's gonna be okay. Trust me. Like it'll be fine.
No, it's not.
It will be. It will
I don't
be.
care. It's hockey season.
That's a saying of a person who's given up on football season on October 4th. At least make it to December 11th. Come on, we got to go to the Packer-Giant game together. So,
do you actually want to do that? I have a lot of people interested in going. I think it'd be a nice outing for all of us. I also will be going to MetLife on February 18th. Found out today to watch the Islanders take on the Rangers.
Yeah, sounds like I'm going to be there too.
I got my tickets today. My whole family's going. It's going to be a good tilt.
Yeah, it sounds like I'll be in the building as well. A little live pod from the parking lot at MetLife on February 18th or what, dude?
Ooh.
Now we're talking, right? Maybe December 11th from the parking lot, Giant Stadium.
A little hot cocoa.
Couple fires. So, all good stuff, man.
Pops, maybe? No Tyler on the pod. No Tyler on the pod. No Tyler.
You did say that before. You did start by no Tyler. So, we got to, we'll just be honest with the listeners. If Tyler shows up, Tyler shows up. It'll be a good time. Might be the best one. So,
all right. You started us. I'm going to close this out. I appreciate y'all listening. And we'll be releasing this shortly. And we'll see y'all next week, probably around the same time. But, as always, it's hockey season.
There it is. Look at us.
Cheers.